Today is Thursday, May the 7th. It's about 10:30 and about 83 degrees. And I wanted to do a garden diary. I had some family that were at my house for a while and I miss them already. And so I thought I would fill the void by doing a garden diary. It's been in the 90s and we've had a lot of wind advisories and stuff this last few weeks. So it's warm and hot and windy. That's what I meant to say. We got these Tropicana planted and those leaves are starting to come up. I love the way those look. I think this little palm tree is bouncing back, probably loves its new home. I pulled the artichokes out of that bed there and moved them, but they didn't like being moved. These are canna lilies as well, but they're not Tropicanas. So these are ones that I had out front and I divided them up and put some in the backyard. I will show my pomegranate. There's about, I think we found about 11 possible fruit on there. So I'm hoping they make it this year. I'm hoping I get some fruit from this. It had aphids really bad and my husband's been spraying on it. This little guy is a Tamarillo, I think, a dwarf Tamarillo. I think I'm gonna cut the top of that off and see what happens. I don't know if you're supposed to top them or not. That oleander's getting some blooms, white ones. These oleanders, I think, like it. They've got some new growth on top, so this one does too. So, and then I don't know exactly what I'm gonna plant in here. I have a lot of little violas in the rocks. This has been wind whipped and we're gonna shear it down maybe and see what happens. This little guy didn't like being transplanted that well, so it's got some dry on one side. It got too hot for it when it first got moved. But it's bouncing back. The bougainvillea and the lantana that's in with it's doing pretty good. Most of the armeria are spent. My niece and I were actually pulling the spent blooms out of there. My husband got this bed ready and I planted a white phlox. I think it's called Blushing Bride, so maybe it's got a little bit of pink to it, I don't know. I planted some Tropicana in the top here because we really wanted a sago, but you can't really go shopping for that kind of stuff right now. So I put what I had available at home so that I didn't leave my house. That's a Blushing Bride phlox as well. And there was a baby one back here, and I don't know if it's gonna make it. I planted it too soon, but I wanted to get it in the ground. This was kind of like a volunteer petunia, and it's coming up pretty good. This is a red lantana that my husband stuck in a pot because we wanted to get it out of another container, and I just wanted to keep it watered. We've got some containers that we ordered online that are coming in that I'll put here, and I don't think I'll keep the red lantana here, but I don't want to kill it either yet. There's the mom, and that Texas Ranger is filling in. My cilantro is starting to bolt. This Calibracoa is fighting for its life. This mom wants to take over. These purple lantana are coming up. The jasmine is starting to bloom. And I think the lantana that I planted back in here last year, I think it's got some green coming out of it. So that's a good thing. We have honeysuckle, and it smells real good. My lavender is pretty much spent. I might try to process dry some lavender, I don't know. I think, yeah, there's some red on this lantana. I don't know about that one over there. And then I've got some lilies that are raising their blooms. I think that's gonna be an orange one. One that's there. Yep, I got some lilies coming up with the agapanthus, plus these. I guess once you plant bulbs, it's hard to get rid of them. These little lavender or purple lantanas are doing good. The salvia along the bridge is doing well. And these were the last purple lantanas that we pulled, transplanted out of the bed over there, and they're doing pretty good. It was a rough go for a little while. We were protecting them from the hot sun. It got too hot too fast. Here's the Cape honeysuckle. It's liking it. Bougainvillea's got some color, although it looks a little wilted. Not real crazy about these petunias in these beds here. I don't think they have enough room to really do well. Everything's looking kind of bedraggled right now. I think we'll probably try to cut it all back and see what happens. These Tropicana are doing really well. I may have planted those since the last showing. This is my sweet potato vine. It's taken off. That Calibracoa likes its home, and then that pepper is bouncing back. I don't think I'm going to get any blueberries this year. I kind of ignored them when I probably shouldn't have. And that's a blanket flower that's getting tall over there. I didn't think it was going to, but it's getting kind of crazy. My goji berries like their home. And then there's some cilantro that's it was needing some water, so my husband pampered it a little bit more. Now it's starting to flower, and if I get a lot of cilantro, that's great. There's no blooms on this lantana yet, and there's nothing on the plumbago. So this bed here is where I've got some cool weather crops. So I've got some lettuce, these squash can handle a little bit of shade, so I have them over here. And then my cucumber seed popped up. These are cucumbers. This one and those two over there are. Then kale. I've got 2 noodle beans in the corner there. This was New Zealand spinach that I planted. I had it all along this dripper hose and they didn't make it. And I'm supposed to have a black-eyed Susan coming up, but I don't know what it really looks like. So I'm not messing with any of these plants until I figure out if any of it is what it's supposed to be. There's some bush zucchini and some lettuces. My tomatoes along the block wall are doing pretty good. The ones that are doing the best are in that bed over there though, the new bed. That's a cherry tomato. This is a 8-ball zucchini, and that's a mulberry scallop squash over there. And then nothing else that I planted as far as seeds. There's one lonely noodle bean right there, and that's it. I planted some spinach, the vining kind. It hasn't germinated. Don't know that it will. The peppers we found, the leaves were wilting, and it was due to lack of water. So my husband ran some more dripper to each of the plants that were kind of fading, and he brought them back to life, so that's good. And we've had a shade cloth up until today on them, but I think they're big enough now. They should be able to handle more of the sun. Here's my tomatillos. That's a cherry tomato in that cage. I got a lot of strawberries. I'm going to be picking my strawberries. We also had a shade cloth on the eggplant until today, and I took that off because they're getting big. These are ones that I planted later, and I hope they make it. This is my okra, and then those are peppers that we pulled out of the rocks that I saved all winter. They seem to be doing okay. They look a little bit more ornamental, so. Here's the cow peas. I'm letting that go to seed. I've got some peppers in here. These are volunteer. Don't know exactly what they're gonna be. I've been fighting the aphids. Oh, there's a squash bug. Gotta get it. I've been fighting the aphids on all this and letting this mustard spinach go to seed. I planted some red kale in here. That's the only thing I transplanted. Everything else was seeds and nothing's coming up yet. So, anyway, that's my garden diary.